Hello and welcome to week 7 of our Screen Reader Savvy class. Today is going to be a continuation of last week's lesson on using a screen reader with the web. So let's go ahead and get started. So remember, using the internet with a screen reader can be super intimidating, but a lot of it is because that screen reader users are not all very effective navigators of the web. And they just simply think using tab and the arrows are going to get them where they want to go. And we've talked about that. That happens and it works, but there are much more efficient ways of doing it. Just a quick reminder, the internet is one of those areas that JAWS and NVDA diverge in some places, but they're the same in others. At the top of the slide, the title is going to contain the name of the screen reader that the information is pertaining to. So just keep a kind of an eye on that. So remember, we talk a lot about elements. An element is any navigable item, object, or text. So remember how we have headings, links, buttons, combo boxes, all sorts of other different elements as well. And remember, all headings are elements, but not all elements are headings. Each screen reader is going to have its own dialog boxes that can be used to navigate elements, and we're going to take a look at what those look like and how to access them, as well as when you would want to do that. So let's take a look at JAWS first. JAWS plus F6 will bring up a dialog box that lists all the headings on a page or a website. As you can maybe see from the screenshot, I was on the WCBVI website when I took this took the screenshot. So a lot of the content is going to pertain to that. You also might notice in that list that in the headings list, there's a number after each one of the headings, and that number lets you know what level that heading is at. So if it says the one that's highlighted, for example, new WSBVI logo 2, that's letting you know that that heading is at level 2. And that's important to know. And we talked about heading levels in our last lesson. You're going to navigate this list by using your arrow keys, or you can do first letter navigation. And that's really helpful when you know what you're looking for. So we talked about how it's helpful to look at these dialog boxes when, to navigate by a specific element. This is one of the times that it would actually matter. So if you're looking for a heading that you know the name of, and you know that it is pretty far the down the page, instead of hitting H like 87 times, you can also open up this dialog box, and if you again know the name, you can use that first letter navigation to get there quite a bit faster. This dialog box is quite useful, so to navigate to different parts of it, and we're going to talk about each part, you're going to use the tab key. It's just like any other dialog box. So we've kind of talked about the heading list in the scroll area, where you are able to see all the headings and what level they're arranged at. If you hit a tab, you're probably going to move to the two buttons, and if you hit tab again, you can move past those, and eventually you're going to find something that says sort headings. You have two choices. You can sort headings what they call in tab order, which would mean if you start at the top of the page and pressed H like all of those times, that's the order that you would find them in. Or you can change that and change it to alphabetically. So you can list those same elements or those same headings in alphabetical order. If you hit tab again, it will display only headings at a specific level if you wish. So, for example, you can change the radio button using the arrow keys. So, if you only wanted to display headings at level 1, which of course are the most general headings, you can use your arrow and mark that, and then tab back up to that heading list kind of scroll area. You could do the same thing for any other heading level as well. And you would just choose that with your arrow keys, no need to press enter, and navigate back to that heading list, find the one you are looking for, and then when you press enter, you will be you'll exit the dialog box and your JAWS cursor will automatically be loaded there. Links list is extremely similar to the headings list. There are a few differences though. To open the links list, you're going to do a JAWS key plus F7 and it lists all links on a page or a website. You can navigate the list with your arrow keys like we talked about before, or first letter navigation if you know what you're looking for. This is another time when you certainly can navigate by link by pressing tab multiple times, and that's not wrong, you can certainly do that. But if you know the name of the link that you're looking for, you may do better just to open up this links list dialog box with the JAWS plus F7, and then if you're looking for a link, for example, called Life After High School, you can just hit the letter L and it'll bring up any link with the letter L in it. As you press the letter L, it will move you around your choices, and when you hit enter, it will activate the link, but we'll talk about that in a minute. If you do a tab after, once you're in that links list, if in that scroll bar area, if you hit a tab, you will have some other options that are interesting that you can access with the arrow keys. And that is the display. You can display all links, or you can choose to display only visited or unvisited links. This is particularly important because if there's something that you're looking for that you know you have been there before but you can't remember the name of, you can just display all visited links. Or if you know that you haven't been there, the same process applies. You would just display all unvisited links. If you tab again, this is where we talk about the link order. The links can be sorted as with headings in tab order or alphabetically, either one. Now here is where things differ just a little bit with these buttons here. If you activate the Move to Link button, which is the one that is not highlighted, you will be taken out of this dialog box and your cursor will be moved to the link, but the link will not be activated, which means it won't, for lack of a better term, JAWS will not click the link for you if you choose Move to Link, because you're only asking it to take you there. You're not asking it to skip a step and take you. The one below that is Activate Link. That is the one that is default, and if you hit the Enter key, that link will be activated when you exit the dialog box. Now, there is a relationship between links and headings. Headings can be links and links can be headings. This means that if you're navigating by heading or by link, you can find yourself on an element that is defined as both, which is very interesting. So the two are not mutually exclusive. So this is just one example of things that show up that are tied together. Your screen reader will tell you if you're focused on an item. That's defined as a link if you're navigating by heading, and it will also do the other way around. It'll tell you if you're navigating by heading, it'll tell you if something is a link. Just as a fun fact, I feel like I win the lottery when a heading is also a link. So I guess it's all the small things in life that just make you happy. Place markers. This is something that a lot of people do not use, and it's quite underutilized. Place markers are sort of like a tack somewhere. It's like a bookmark that you are placing, but it's on a specific location on a page rather than a specific page on the web. So that's kind of an important difference. So it's a location on a page. You can open the place markers dialog box with the Control Shift and the letter K. The dialog appears as is shown, and it may appear just a little differently if you've added place markers on a page already. But let's take a look at the dialog box. So the place markers list is this first like large area that looks like it would be a scroll area. If you hit a tab, you will get the option to add a place marker. If you hit tab again, in this case, you would go down to where it says display place markers for the URL, the domain, or all. So you can adjust that as well. Once you've added place markers, the boxes on the right hand side of the dialog box that are grayed out, those will be available. Those boxes will become available. And those boxes or those buttons are move to, change, remove, or remove all. So if you wanted to, you could move to a specific place, you could change the place marker, or you could take it out entirely. Like I said, they're underutilized, and really they're to find some of your harder to locate things on a website that you think of as being hidden, like they're are surrounded by a whole bunch of other things. When you are doing first letter of navigation, by the way, if you open a page and hit the letter K, if there is a place marker there, JAWS will take you there to the place marker. There is no place marker option in NVDA. You cannot add your own landmark. They call them landmarks. We call them place markers when we're using JAWS, but there's landmarks when you're using NVDA. But regardless, NVDA does not have a way for you to add and modify your own landmarks or place markers. Well, let's look at other things related to place markers. You can add something called a temporary place marker with the Windows plus Control plus K. You can add a temporary place marker that will only remain in that location until you navigate away from that web page. This will enable you to automatically navigate to the place marker by pressing the letter K at any point on that page without having to go through that dialog box first. You can use this to refer to like a specific paragraph or location on a page or a site to check something again. If it's a number, it's really hard to keep, at least for me, it's hard to keep it in my head if I have heard that number plus like a bunch of other ones, and to keep that isolated in my brain, it doesn't really work out as well as you would like. So you could add a temporary place marker and come back to that. But you should know that you can only have one temporary place marker on a page at a time. Okay, another one for JAWS users. JAWS plus F5 will list all form fields on a page or website. Navigate the list in the same way that we have been with your arrow keys or for that first letter navigation, if you know what you're looking for. And again, you would navigate to the different parts of the dialog box using the tab key. On the right is the dialog box, and it shows you right here, it shows you search, edit, or search button. And those are the two form fields that are found on our website. There are no others. Some websites will be that simple. Others, like things where you have to fill out specific information, like a Google form or a survey or something like that, you're going to have more forms fields listed there than you otherwise might. When you're on a web page, it's important to know about what they call forms mode. Forms mode is entering that dialog box. It's like clicking in it. When you're on a web page and you know that there are forms, you're going to press the F to navigate there. But you can't edit text until you quote unquote click into the box. And that's done by hitting the space bar. If you go to a page and you want to search Amazon, I don't remember, to be perfectly honest, whether you are placed immediately in forms mode on Amazon or whether you have to look for it. But regardless, when you are in forms mode on a web page, you are not automatically placed there all the time. So what you would do is you would hit either the E or the F to get to the forms mode or the edit field, and then you would press a space bar, and JAWS will make a small sound to you to indicate that yes, you can start typing now. If you were to not maybe put that in, like the space bar to get into that forms mode, what would happen is that you would be moving around to different spots inside of that page. So if, suppose I wanted to, in a forms mode, I want to write the word bananas in a field. And if I don't hit spacebar first to enter forms mode, what it's going to do is it's going to take me to the next button because it doesn't recognize that I'm trying to enter text and not navigate the web page. So forms mode is super important, even though it's a very, very little thing. NVDA is very similar. It's going to use the letter F to move among the forms on a web page, or the letter E among edit fields, but you have to remember to enter forms mode by pressing your spacebar. Generally, pressing enter when you're done typing a search term will execute the search. Not every time though. Sometimes you literally have to hit the tab button to get out of that form or out of that field. And typically the next thing that's listed is a search or find button. You might have noticed that we didn't really look at NVDA too closely with regard to their forms list or their headings list or their links list. That's because there is not a specific one dedicated to each one of those things. All of that is consolidated into what they call the elements list and the elements list dialog. To open the elements list, you're going to press NVDA plus F7. So what you're going to see is you're going to see a list. You're going to see a list of, usually it defaults to links. So you're going to see links, a list of links. But if you want to navigate by headings, you need to press a tab key to get out of this large scroll area type thing and move backwards to where you get to choose what element type you want to navigate by. And you're going to use your arrow keys. So if you want to list headings, you're going to hit the right arrow until you hear the word headings. And then you're going to tab to go back to the list. The same thing applies if you want to list form fields or buttons or landmarks. I know this was very, very long and confusing for you. It actually wasn't time-wise very long, but it was a lot of stuff. So if you find that you are feeling overwhelmed, remember our 20-minute rule. Just wait, walk away, and come back, because it's better to avoid being frustrated than it is to become frustrated and then get a bad taste in your mouth about the technology and raise your blood pressure, because you don't need that in your life. You just need to just kind of be calm, coast along. Things will come. You will pick it up. It might not be right away, but you will pick it up. So remember to keep practicing. So you're almost done with this class. Just hold on one more week and we'll be finished. So I'll see you next time.